So in the last video I talked about dictionary tables and how you can use them to make these three parts right here. If you haven't watched it, I really highly recommend so you know the context behind this. But in case you forget, I'll give you a recap. So I made these three parts here, one for healing, one for damage, and one for dying. I'll go ahead and test that now for you. So if I touch the damage part, it'll take some damage away from me. If I touch the healing part, it'll help me back up. And if I touch the dying part, I die. And how that's done is by using a dictionary table, where each part is its own key in this table, and that corresponds to a number which represents how much health that humanoid is getting back. So healing will give you 10 health, damage will give you negative 10 health, and then dying will give you negative whatever big number that is. Yep, and then I make a for loop through each part, connect a touch function, and then the rest goes right there. So this is all well and good and all, but the main issue is just that each part is corresponding to one piece of data. Sometimes you're in scenarios where you want multiple pieces of data to equal to, one part or whatever. So for example, I'll give you a little scenario right here. So you see there's these particles inside of each part. Let's say I want these particles to be parented inside of the character. Well, we can do that with tables. So let's make a whole new table, a whole new dictionary table, call this one effects. And same structure, one part for each one, and we'll put a particle into each part here. We can go ahead and get the particle with that new table. So it calls particle is equal to effects part. And we'll go ahead and clone this. Parent this to the characters human root part. Ignore that parent, human root part. Then we'll go ahead and emit the particle a couple of times. Let's just say 5. And then give it a wait and we'll destroy it after a second. Okay, now we'll go ahead and test this out. So if I touch the damage part, you can see fire gets cloned to me. If I touch the heal part, the little healing symbol, and if I touch dying part, that's weird. Let me see what's wrong with that. Put damage here. Should be death. Now if we should test it, it should do that black particle now. Like so. Good job. Okay. So this is cool and all, except we really don't want to make a table for each new piece of data we need, because then you'll end up with a lot of tables, which will cause performance loss and just won't be nice to work in. So instead we can use something called nested tables, which is basically just a table inside of another table. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this table here, and as well as the stuff in here. And again, we'll start off with a dictionary, of course, like this. And instead of a number, we'll do another table. So boom, another table right there. Go ahead and make some space for that. And then we'll put the heal amount here. So for healing will be 10. And then we'll put the particle here as well. Particle. Then we'll do that for each one now. So damage, I'll just copy and paste. So damage, and then it should be negative 10. This should be damage. And then after that, it should be death. And this should be negative, big number, like so. And then this particle as well. I'll go ahead and clear this code out. Okay. So now we need to get this table using the part. So very simple. I'll go ahead and make another variable for that. Let's call this data. And then we'll do pads part. And then just for testing, we'll go ahead and print this. Print data. So now if I touch the healing part, it print the actual table itself, and then inside that table I get these properties here. And then we can do that for each one. So if I touch the damage one, see now it's negative 10, and then the death one, you can see it's, yeah. So with this new table, we can now extract each piece of data. And I'll go ahead and just make separate variables just so it's easier to read. So for heal amount, I'll just type in data heal amount. And then for the particle, it's going to type in particle data particle. Oh yeah, and also you can write your string keys like this, or you can put the actual braces like this. Whatever's up to you, it's essentially the same thing. Now we'll just do the same code as before, humanoid.health, add the heal amount, and then we'll clone the particle. Go ahead and test this out. So, the damage, you see a fire gets cloned to me, do healing, healing gets cloned to me, and then dying, you see the black part there. Nice. So now we combine two tables into just, well, a table inside of a table, which will look a lot nicer too. Now let's say we want to add more data though. So having two pieces of data is cool. Let's say we want like a third one, for example. Let's say for the emit amount, instead of 5, we want to customize the amount of emissions based on the particle. Well, I'll just add another property for that. We'll just call this emit amount. We'll set this to 5 for each one. Like so. But for damage, let's do 30. And then for death, let's do like a really big number, 1,000. See what happens. Oops, I forgot to edit the code. So instead of 5, we just need to get that number now. So it's just data emit amount. And we'll go ahead and test this. So for damage, just give us a bit more fire, and then healing should give us a little less. It's a little less right there. So, and then for the dying part, you can see we just explode with particles. So that works out perfectly. And lastly, let's say we want to add a debounce for each one, because if you notice, let's say I put a little print here, activate it, and test it. You notice if I touch one of the parts here, it activated 8 times in like under like a second. Maybe we want to add a little cooldown for that. So that's called a debounce. So for that, we're going to add more data here. So let's call the debounce can activate. We'll set the true for each one. Like so. And then we'll set the can activate to false once the player has touched the part. So that's just data can activate is equal to false, and it will set it true after the particle's been destroyed. True. And then we'll make sure to include that in our condition right here. It's equal to true. So this code will only run if the can activate is true. And we'll go ahead and run that. It's about a 1 second timer, I believe. Something went wrong here. Oh, I removed the print. Let me put the print back in. Activated. Okay, so you see now it's not spamming us with, it's just healing us once every second or so. So put damage, boom, heal, touch it several times, and then death. Boom. Very cool. So it's just kind of a continuation of the last thing, where having a table inside of a table. It can be used, for example, let's say you're making like a game of guns, and each gun has its own stats, like for the damage, or for the bullet color, or for how much ammo you have. You would want a table inside of a table with essentially stats, kind of like this here. So it's pretty much used in almost every game, so it's very important. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord, links in the description. I'm there every day, answering questions and helping people out. Or you can comment your question down below. As well, if you have any other video suggestions or tutorials you want to see, go ahead and comment that down too.